Greetings, folks. The Great Scott here, and welcome to today's virtual volunteer segment. Now, the last time that I was on here, my virtual volunteer was Michael Joyner, the star of the Christian film The Grace Card. And I mentioned during that segment, well, after having somebody of his caliber on, it was probably going to be all downhill from there. Well, I was wrong. Because what can I say about this next gentleman right here? This gentleman is a very good friend of mine, among other things. He's an accomplished filmmaker. He is also part of the reasons why my dream of becoming an accomplished screenwriter came true. This right here is the movie that we wrote together, which I was also in, and he directed, The Reconciler. And we went on to work together in this movie, A Murder of Innocence. And he has other film credits to his name, the one and only Shawn Justice. How are you doing today, Mr. Justice?
I'm doing fine, Scott.
Thank you.
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing okay. You know, still getting used to being a performer who cannot get an audience together to save his life. You know what I mean? Because I've mentioned this before in videos. I mentioned this when Michael Joyner was on here. The minute I heard the president and the governor say, you know, please avoid all large crowds, my jaw hit the floor, and I'm like, a large crowd is an audience. How am I going to find any work while this is going on? Funny thing is, when it comes to social distancing, this is the one relationship that has not changed is my relationship with you, because we're on different coasts. You're all the way over. Right. You're all the way over on the west. You're in Washington State, and I'm in Boston. So we see each other more like this than we do in person. So this is.
We do.
Yeah, this right here is nothing new for us. I think, as a matter of fact, if you count every project we've ever worked on as one visit, whether it was 10 days, whether it was a couple days, you and I have actually only physically been in the same place 5 times.
Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah. When I came out to do the show for Caleb, when we did The Reconciler. When you came to Boston on a business trip, when we did A Murder of Innocence, and when I came to the Murder of Innocence premiere. Those are the 5 times we have physically been in the same place. Yeah.
I was not counting.
Really? Well, what can I say? What can I say? It's just kind of a novelty. I mean, where would we be during the middle of this crisis without this technology we now have? Because this is the only way that some people can now communicate. And it just, I found it interesting that between social media and stuff like this, you are able to cultivate friendships that transcend coasts because you can communicate with people like this now. Yeah, so. But anyway,
right.
You are here to be... I'm sorry, what did you say?
I think I read a lot about the 1918 pandemic, and, you know, they had, you know, not everyone even had electricity back then, you know, had to isolate and all that. So, right. Yeah, we're in a much more unique, you know, place now with all the technology. You know, imagine not having, you know, internet, TV, or maybe even.
I don't want to imagine. I don't want to imagine.
So,
I don't want to imagine.
We're blessed.
We are very blessed. We are very blessed. To be honest with you, I personally believe that when our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ said, "Go into the world and make disciples of all men," He knew this was coming before we ever heard of it.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. So. This, of course, is my magician channel, so you are here to be a special guest volunteer. And as I've explained to people in the past, magicians are unique performers in the fact that we can actually demonstrate our talent to a camera and, you know, put it on our different social medias. But there's only so much I can do just talking to a camera. There's a lot of my tricks that are interactive and require volunteers. So I thought a fun thing to do would have special guest volunteers over Skype, and this way this would help me practice doing virtual shows, which I'm now offering, by the way. I've got a few irons in the fire at the moment, but we'll see if they go anywhere. And today, Mr. Justice, you will be the special guest volunteer. What'd you say? What?
I'm doing a lot of editing of my clients' work and other work, so I found my own way to keep busy and keep working.
Yes, exactly. Well, you were lucky in that regard, sir. Yes. How long have you and your family been indoors at this point?
Well, I walked the dog last night.
Yeah.
No, we're kind of homebodies anyway,
right.
And so yeah, there's been some limitations, but it's not been a shock, you know, to us. We like staying at home a lot, and I happen to have a home theater with a big, you know, 100-inch screen and 7.1 Dolby Digital as a filmmaker.
Yeah, which I have seen. Right? So, which I have seen. It's very good. It's very good. I think the last time I was there, I walked in and you and your wife were watching Longmire on Netflix. So, I have a good memory about those things. What can I say? But anyway, I myself. I get cabin fever very easily, and so I am thanking the good Lord every day that Governor Charlie Baker of Massachusetts has not forbidden the restaurants from doing takeout and delivery, because I still get to work my other job as an Uber Eats driver. I have to be extra careful, and the only good thing about it is no traffic now. But anyway, as you can see, Shawn and I are very good friends, and we could talk all the livelong day, but I do have him here today to be a special guest volunteer for an effect. Now, Shawn, having been out to visit you on 2 occasions and actually performed, I performed the tribute for your son Caleb, and I also performed at the cast party for A Murder of Innocence. I had to make sure that I did something that I knew for a fact you had not seen. And believe it or not, this is something I know you haven't seen because it's a trick that I actually dusted off. Now, can you see this chart with the 4 numbers there?
And the colors, yes.
Yeah, and the colors, yes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take the colors out one at a time, and I would like you to please confirm for me which color is which. What's this one?
Green.
That is green. Let me just show it to the camera there. Okay. This is color number 2. What's this one?
Blue.
Blue. That is correct. Okay. The third one here. What's this one?
Red.
Red. Okay. And last but certainly not least, hope you can see this one. It's kind of bright.
Yeller.
Yeller. Old Yeller. Yes. Yeah. See, the lights I have here are kind of nuking that one a little bit, but yeah, you can take our word for it that is yellow right there. Okay. Now here's what we're going to do. One of the interesting things is that you do have to adjust things a little bit when you're doing magic over Skype, because normally at this point I would hand you the cards and have you mix up the pile. So I have to get a little extra creative here, okay? I'm going to close my eyes. Can you confirm that my eyes are closed?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to mix these cards up until you tell me when to stop.
Okay, good.
Okay. So these cards are all mixed up. I just put them down. I don't know what order they're in. Okay. The first card in the pile, I'm now going to put them back into the spaces, but facing away so we can't see the colors. Okay?
Okay.
Which number do you want the first card in?
3.
Okay. So I'm going to put the first card that's on the top there. It's hard for me to do this at an angle where you can see. You can watch the video later on to know that I'm actually doing them right up top. Okay, the second card. Which space do you want that one in?
Oh, we're getting down there. 4.
4, okay. Second card goes into 4. Notice I'm keeping these face down, correct?
Okay. It would appear so.
Yes, it would. Well, you can, like I said, you can double check that after I post this. Okay. Which one do you want the next one in? 1 or 2?
A 1.
Okay. Obviously, the last card picks its own spot because there's only 1 spot left.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I don't know if anybody watching this video or you, my good friend, noticed this, but on the back of this chart, I have a big envelope. Did you happen to see that?
I do now.
Okay. Okay, so there's a big envelope here. Now, what is in this envelope? Well, inside the big envelope, we have a big card. Now, if I leave it only pulled out about halfway there, some people might think that I have a couple in here and I could pull out the one that I wanted to. I'm going to take the big card out and put it right here on the table. Okay?
Okay.
Now, what I'd like you to do, please, Mr. Justice. Obviously, we shuffle those up, we put them back, never looking at them. Please pick a number.
2.
2.
Or 20.
There we are. Okay, so this is the one you picked, and this right here is the big card I had in the envelope, right?
Yes.
What's really interesting is you wound up picking the blue circle.
My favorite color. Good job.
Thank you very much. Nicely done, sir. Nicely done. I want to thank DJ Edwards from Ickle Pickle. That is actually one of his products right there. Anyway, so one of the things that I did want to briefly talk about while I have Mr. Justice here, as I said, Shawn and I, it's hard to believe that we recently passed the 10-year mark of when we met. We were first introduced by a mutual Facebook friend back in, I think, 2010, a little after I had done the Twin Master stage play. I had written this stage play called Twin Master, and I was trying to get it made into a movie. I had struck out with a couple studios. I'm not going to mention them here because I don't want to badmouth anybody. But let's just say I wasn't getting a lot of responses. And a mutual Facebook friend of ours named Barry says, why don't you try this filmmaker out of Washington State? He's a Christian and he's a twin himself. You have a twin brother named Kyle.
I did.
Yeah, he's actually considering being a virtual guest in the future as well. So you might see him on here in the future. That'll be interesting. So anyway, now that it's been about 10 years, we ended up, going off on some. The Lord had other plans for us rather than the idea that had originally brought us together. We've told this. I'm sure that anybody who's watching this who knows Shawn, we've talked several times about the loss that your family incurred with your son Caleb in 2012, which is the whole reason why. One of the reasons why I am such an admirer of this man is because it's his family tragedy that made my dream come true. This movie would not exist if his family had not sadly lost Caleb. Anyway, one thing that Shawn is also very smart when it comes to marketing as far as movies and seeing what the trends are. And you had said to me, think about 2 years ago, that online streaming series were becoming a lot more popular than feature films.
They were. Yeah. I was watching market data and even look at the trends over the past 2-3 years with Netflix. Their big investment has not been in new. They've made new movies, but you look at new series and people just love series even more now than they did before, because you can I know that we just we've enjoyed Hawaii Five-0, the show, and we watch it on Netflix, and we just signed up for a free month of CBS online and are watching I think seasons 9 and 10 now. And it irritates me because they're actually putting commercials on there now. And anyway, that's a whole other decision. But series and people watching series are even a bigger deal, because people can get into the characters, they know them more, and they enjoy it.
Well, case in point, one story I heard was YouTube had tried to jump on the streaming bandwagon by creating YouTube Red, that eventually became YouTube Premium, and they were actually producing original shows for a while. Unfortunately, there just wasn't enough interest in most of them. The one exception being is they beat out every other streaming service for the Karate Kid follow-up, Cobra Kai. And even though they have stopped making original programming, with the exception of that. That is like that one show is like their bread and butter. And that was one of the things that I started to think that maybe Shawn was onto something here. And so finally I swallowed my pride. He had said to me, Scott, this trilogy you've mapped out for Twin Master could maybe be a series. And I was so... See, the problem is a lot of writers, we get tunnel vision. We're like, okay, if we change it... And I think the biggest lesson you have taught me, Shawn, is that to let go of the tunnel vision. Because one of the best decisions I ever made was to let you rewrite my Twin Master script and then my Reconciler script. You call it finessing. I have a nickname for when you finesse my scripts. You know what I call it? I call it the script has to be justified. Because your name is Justice. Yeah. The script has to be justified. So anyway, once I was open to this idea of a series, we thought that it would be good to launch a Kickstarter, and we even started a Facebook page for the Twin Master series. And then I'll give you all one guess as to what happened. You guessed it, COVID-19 broke out. But the interesting thing is, the very last post that we had a meeting with some people prior to the outbreak really getting big, and I kind of felt the Lord speaking to me, that we weren't done yet, that we still had a chance to do the thing that brought us together. And then, of course, the outbreak happened, and for whatever reason, the very last post I put on Twin Master was a long, drawn-out one on the page saying, sorry, folks, we're putting the Kickstarter on hold. We were going to launch it in 2 weeks. Every day since the COVID-19 outbreak, that post has been getting at least 1 or 2 likes. And every single time it does, I feel like it's the Lord reminding me that we are not done yet. So I think it's a good thing. So we will keep you guys updated. I'm probably going to post this video on the Twin Master Series Facebook page, among other things. Now, one other thing that I wanted, now that we've taken care of that, one thing I want to mention is, I had the 2 movies here that I was involved with, but I must tell you, Mr. Justice does not only work on projects I'm involved in, he was a filmmaker long before I showed up. And how many feature films have you made, sir?
5 all together. We're in post on the Narrow Road right now. Slowly but surely getting it done. It is a faith-based Russian mafia movie. So it's got card chases and gunplay and conspiracy. It's a good one.
It is. You let me watch the rough cut. I agree. It is a very good one. It's interesting to watch a movie before all the muzzle flashes for the guns are put in post yet. So, yeah, exactly. People miming gunshots, but you get the general idea. Xander, who was actually in both of these with me, he's the star of that as well. Xander Steele.
Yeah, he is. He does a great job.
Yes. Well, he did. Yes. So the movies so we'll look for that one, but the movies that are finished, the ones I've got here, Out of the Darkness, there is a website where people can watch those, right? Where is that?
Well, they can go to justicepictures.com and at the top select films, and we've made it real affordable to watch our films on realhouse.com. But there's a link right to that, and they can watch them there, stream them, and it's a great place to watch the movies.
Cool. And oh darn, I had something else there, and now I can't remember what it was. I had something else I wanted. I just completely went blank there. That was so interesting there. I would love to try to have it come to me in a moment, but I just can't think of it right now. Oh, are these darn. Always happens when you're recording live. Always happens when you're recording live. How often has this happened when we're talking on the phone? I said that I blank, I forgot something I wanted to ask you, and then I call you back 10 minutes later because I remember.
Right. What's your name?
Well, anyway, I'm sure I'll remember after I click off here, and then I'll put it in the comments section or something like that. But I was talking about them. Oh, yes, I just remembered. Thank you. You talk long enough, you remember. That's right. One other thing, can't believe I forgot this. The other thing is that you had a brilliant idea because of what he said about series being more popular. Was it your son Joshua who shot most of it? But there is a ton of behind-the-scenes footage of this movie, The Reconciler, right?
Yeah. Joshua shot most of it. Yes.
Yes. And Shawn had this brilliant idea of doing tutorials about filmmaking for a YouTube series. And how many episodes are now on YouTube for people to watch behind the scenes of The Reconciler?
6. But we're working on more. Got slowed down a little bit, of course, by COVID-19 and a couple of other things that I had to refocus on, but we're hoping to get more episodes out. I actually have 37 episodes planned out. So, and they're about 10 minutes, 12 minutes each. Mm-hmm. But I narrate a little bit. I talk about, what's going on right. screen or, what people are seeing and have advice over the past 5 films, shooting 5 films. Things I've learned, and it's not just for other filmmakers, it's for actors and mm-hmm. other people who want to do movies, writers as well.
Yeah, I was there and I found it very informative. In fact, the funny thing is when you're shooting a movie and you are so excited because your dream of a script you dreamed up and then co-wrote is being made, you're doing a lot of it on not very much sleep. And I'm amazed at how much of the behind-the-scenes stuff I'm watching and I'm like, I don't remember saying that. So it's fun, and I would highly recommend you check it out. Is that on the Justice Pictures YouTube channel or Shawn Justice YouTube channel?
Yeah, I think it's the best way to find it is actually you can find it on my Facebook, on the Justice Pictures Facebook page. I'm posting there. I also posted on my personal Facebook page, but I think it's just facebook.com/JusticePictures. If I recall. So I can check that, but pretty sure.
All right, well, check that out. And one other thing I want to mention here just before we leave, he mentioned that, he got slowed down by that show from COVID-19. One thing that you said to me that I was now I don't know if you're at liberty to talk about it here at all, but you actually had the opportunity to edit some videos that emergency services needed because of COVID-19.
Yeah, we've done a couple of projects of way to kind of help out. We worked with one of the local sheriffs. One of the local. Is it sheriff? That's county. What's a city?
Police chief.
Police chief. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Worked with the police chief.
Apparently, whatever I had a moment ago is contagious through a computer.
Yeah, one of my good friends is chief of police at Junction City, Oregon, down by Eugene, Oregon, where Nike was created originally, came from, and he teamed up. He asked me to come down, and we shot with a pastor there. Actually, I interviewed him about safe things to do, and just what we all kind of know, but just wanted to reiterate some things. But they also talked about their local community too, which is great. And then this last Saturday, I actually worked with another good friend of mine, actually right here on the screen, Jan Michael Looking Wolf, who's one of the top Native American artists. And we actually did a live stream concert from his living room. And we have more that we're going to be
doing. seems like most entertainers are resorting to performing in their living room. So
yes, but it was really cool to get the feedback. People were comforted by the music, and I think it's like 5,000 views or more now in the first day or so. So we just felt like it was something that we could do to help.
Well, that's what I admire about you, Shawn. You've always been about making the world a better place with your gift of filmmaking. And like I said earlier, I believe the good Lord is telling us we're not done yet. So, but at the moment, I said this to you earlier, I don't feel like the stall we've hit is any fault of ours, because nobody can make anything right now, unfortunately. Because just as the very definition of a large crowd is an audience, that is also the definition of a movie crew. So everybody is basically shut down right now, but not forever, that's for sure. Well, thank you very much for your time, Shawn, and thank you all for tuning in.